Yeah, so this is a fair use from the Act of 1976. Disclaimer, Section 107, under critical and teaching and scholarship and educational purposes, research. I am not making any money off this. This is fair use, fair use.
Yeah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory. Kahalayim Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahweh with the lesson.
Let me tell you what the richest men in the world are doing with their money right now. Bill Gates, the single largest private farmland owner in the United States, owns 270,000 acres across 18 states, often purchased quietly through the shell companies. At the exact same time, he has poured tens of millions of dollars into Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, and Memphis Meats. The company is designed to replace the beef that used to be raised on land just like his. And in 2021, in a recorded interview with MIT Technology Review, he said this out loud: all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. You can get used to the taste difference. Eventually, that green premium is modest enough that you can sort of change the people or use regulation to totally shift demand. Regulation, not your choice. And Gates isn't alone. Jeff Bezos has committed $100 million through his Bezos Earth Fund to establish a global network of research centers dedicated to replacing conventional meat with plant-based, fermented, and lab-grown alternatives. Bezos and Gates have also jointly backed Nature's Find, a Chicago company making meatless patties from fungus, and BlackRock and Vanguard, the two largest asset managers on the planet, are the second and third largest shareholders of Beyond Meat and have been increasing their stakes even as the company loses money. So the most powerful men and institutions on the planet are all moving in the same direction, away from real beef, towards something made in a lab. And now here's what's happening on the ground while all that money moves. The U.S. cattle herd has collapsed to its lowest point since 1951. The cost of running a single cattle operation has gone up over $200 per cow in just 5 years. Generational ranching families are being squeezed off their own land. And while that's all happening inside the food supply itself, things are even darker than most people realize. A farmer in the UK was on camera revealing that processors are injecting potato starch directly into your beef to make it look better, to weigh more, and to sell for more money. And they're not legally required to even tell you. And a vice president at one of the biggest food companies in America was secretly recorded saying this about the meat his own company sells.
We have shit for poor people. Who buys our shit? It's unhealthy. I don't know what the in it. Bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. You?
He was fired days later. And even if you're staying healthy and avoiding fast food meat, the steak you order at a fancy restaurant can legally be made with glue. And they don't even have to tell you. There are drugs in your pork that are banned in over 150 countries. The list goes on, and every single one of these things is completely legal in the United States. Is it a coincidence that the people funding the replacement of beef are the same people whose asset management firms profit when real ranching fails? I'll let you decide. But what I can tell you is that behind every statistic and every billion-dollar investment, there are real families, real farms, and a way of life that is being squeezed from every direction. So I went straight to the source. Joel McCafferty, fourth-generation rancher with 100 years of family history farming on American soil. If anyone knows what this is actually doing to the people on the ground, it's Joel. So Joel, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, 1876, my great-grandfather came into the area on my mom's side. My grandfather on my father's side was here in 1903, and we've been on this ranch where we're at right now for 100 years.
And when did you first realize that something outside your control was threatening everything you built?
I read an article one time that my granddad was interviewed, and some of the same problems then are the same problems we have now. But the biggest change I saw was in the 70s. We had the food chart get inverted, started hearing about margarine being healthier than butter. Didn't really understand them. We weren't really prepared for it. There was no way to communicate to the public through social media or any ways like that. We started taking hits, and cattlemen started going out of business. I would say there was around, I think my numbers are fairly accurate, around 7 million of us in the 70s, and I think we're down to around 600,000 left. That's when we first started seeing kind of the attack on beef. And probably the same people that are attacking you are the ones that have been attacking us forever.
Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 83, verse 3. So they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, which the Lord's people are the Israelites, right? Yahshua Allah is the Lord's people, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, the Israelite foreigners around the world who phenotype may look like another nation, but their bloodline goes back to Israel. And then you got the other, the other Israelites, people from, from different places around the world, Nigeria, West Africa, you got the the Afro-Cuban, Afro-Kuwaiti, Afghanis, Afro-Mexicans, right? Which are also Israelites. That's just to name a few. But then you got Israelites who phenotype may look like another nation, but their bloodline goes back to Israel, right? Because this is ultimately a spiritual thing. But we're in a spiritual battle. But in this spiritual battle, we're in a physical plane, right? And their primarily their aim is to make foods and things to attack the Israelite, right? And it's been said, there was a scientist, and he said that they relegated things so it attacked specific. Scientists got it down so the food can attack specific ethnicities. So, they're using food as a weapon. But even as of now, only the elite are having the ability to eat real meat. See, because Bill Gates ain't speaking of he's ever going to eat some lab-grown meat, while he's saying that they can get it as close to the taste, and eventually the people would, they'll just get used to the taste. Well, why don't you have to get used to the taste? Right? You don't have to, right? This is why you're buying up all the farmland, and you're going to make the money, which is monopoly in a sense. Because what happened to them being able to force the law on monopoly? That's like a monopoly, but that's okay, And it has consulted against thy hidden ones, right? So they've basically they've had these inner meetings between the elites, top people, right? That's what he just said. Every country should sell synthetic meat. So he's had these meetings with these top elites. Yeah, so this is Job chapter 31, verse 35. Oh, that one would hear me, right? Because we're in a heavy situation, right? Ultimately, you know. And of course, if you're to elect the Lord, the Lord's going to protect you. But you can't pretend like this is not going to be a heavy situation. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, you got to, it says, behold, my desire is that the Almighty, behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. My desire is that the Almighty would answer me, right? Because you're gonna really want answers in that day, right? Because see, we're coming to the time where they're really ready to push a famine. They're ready to push the micro C hip, right? In order to eat, you're gonna need to be part of their system, right? And if you're off the grid, right, you're on your own, which they're gonna have everybody off the grid from from the jump in the beginning, right? Everybody's gonna be off the grid, right? And you want the Lord to answer you, right? Because you want answers, right? You're gonna want you got problems, you got things you need answers, you need solutions, and it says and that my adversary, right, which is Esau, Edom, these ones that had their crafty counsel, all these elites, Jeff Bezos and the Bill Gates of hell, come against you, but the Lord said, hey, the gates of hell shall not prevail against thee. So hey, that's what we're looking for, answers. Even though that my adversaries, right, our adversary meaning what, your enemy, have written a book. See, and they already have their playbook out. Their whole things, even that guy was saying, hey, this has been going on for quite some time. Even when they tricked people to think that margarine was healthier than butter, it made the industry lose a lot of money, especially when butter was a lot healthier, especially back then. It was made from all natural stuff, and as you can see, they opposed their way on the industry, on everything. He said there were 7 million ranchers and this and that, down to maybe 600,000 or something like that. From 7 million to 600,000, which that's what they plan on doing now. Or 8 billion people, they plan on dwindling that number of people on the planet through starvation, the sword, and pestilence, right? And that's part of what that plan, that book that they have, they playbook, right? And that my adversary have written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulders and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps, as a prince would have gone near unto him, right? Right? Which most people are doing anyway. You're following the rules and this and that, but this devil wants to go further. He wants to be wherever he puts a micro C hip into you. He wants to be able to control everything, right? And how he's going to do that is dry out the land. He says, what? So if my land cry against me, or the pharaohs likewise thereof complain, right? Because they're about to take the water from you. The furrows are like when you dig the trenches, the ditches, and you plant your seed, but then you dig like a trench so the water goes down. Think and have your crops soiled, watered, fertilized, soiled, watered, and so it could bring forth the nutrients that you're gonna need, right? It says, and if I have eaten fruit thereof without money, right? Which they charge you. You go to the grocery store, so it's not like you're not buying this food, but here it is. They want you to buy something that they created in the lab, not something that's actually natural, not something that's going to actually benefit your body. So they basically want you to pay for the cancer, and then after you get this cancer from eating this weird meat, you have to pay for the medicine for the cancer, and then they have the cure for the cancer, but they don't want the money is not in the cure. The money is in the medicating. So this is so what person goes out and eats fruit just basically just meaning food. You have your fruits, your vegetables, but you also have your food, right? I believe what is it Barak, what's that? I say, yeah, no, Barak Ma'akal. I think it's Ma'akal. Ma'akal, your fruits, right? Ma'akal, provision. Yeah, Ma'akal, Barak, Ma'akal. Barak. Trying to think of and then laham. Basically, your bread, your provision, your bread, your fruits, things that you eat, the things for you to survive. So who's doing that without money? Nobody, right? But if I eat that, I want to get the necessary vitamins and things that you need, or have caused the owners thereof to lose what? Their life. See? So now this food, it causes you to actually lose your life. So you're buying food that causes you to lose your life. And not to mention just even what they're doing, it's causing what they're doing is causing even the farmers to lose their life, their livelihood, the way they used to farm. Like the dude saying, we've been here for hundreds of years farming. So they're taking out farmers who's been farming for forever, and just telling them, hey, don't worry about the crops, don't do this, don't do that, and we're gonna come buy you out. Oh, we're gonna put you, which what the guy said, there was he said, well, he said something about there was something that they've been facing for years, right? Yeah, when you go all the way back, you can watch those cowboy movies where they come in. They raise the prices of the land and raise up the price of the food. Basically, put the people in debt, and then so that way someone come up and buy them out. Because how do you think Bill Gates was able to go buy up so much land, or Jeff Bezos can buy up so much land? You put these people in a financial bind. So then you were able to cause and have caused the owners thereof to lose their life. So you caused them to lose their life. You know what I'm saying? Let thistles grow instead of wheat, and see, that's what's going to happen, because that's what they want. They want thistles to grow instead of wheat, and you can get nothing. You mean? Let cackle instead of barley, right? So basically, things of no nutritional value, things that you're usually getting. You're usually getting barley and wheat, so you could have bread, but now you're getting nothing. It's a big ass desert out there, a big old field with nothing there. But by the way, we could point you to the store where you can get the laboratory made meat, and that's really what they're talking about. The words of Job are ended. Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 13. It says, they have sown wheat, but shall reap thorns. Right? And that's what you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians have done, right? You have sinned against the Lord, Yahweh Basham Shah, your power, right? And you're gonna reap thorns. They have put themselves to pain, right? And that's what ultimately what Esau's about to bring. We've been trying to preach to you, tell you the way out, or the way that we're gonna survive, right? It's not gonna be easy, because even the elect, right, or hopeful elect, which will be the elect, somebody will be the elect out of us, and we're trying to tell you the correct way to make it out of this, right? Giving you the right names, giving you the right spiritual guidance, right? For people to go back into the vomit and speak of JC or even try to tell you that, see, there's no true honesty in something when the J is newly created. There was dishonesty in the way that they created the J in the first place, right? How can you? They tell you that it elongated the I. Well, how do you elongate an I, which is I or I, right? The sound, but somehow you can get a J or G sound because you elongated it. It just don't make. It's just But then people will tell you, hey, that's so you believe in a lie more than truth, and so therefore, are you truly honest? You know what I mean? You can't believe yourself as a man of God or person of God, and you're believing it, and you're going back to the word JC, right? A complete lie. So we're trying to get you on the path, because not that we're not going to suffer, we're going to suffer too, but there's a way to suffer, right? And they have put pain. They have put themselves to pain, right, by not listening to the prophets, But shall not profit, right? It's not gonna profit you, right? Their revenues, not profit, and they shall be ashamed of their revenues, right? Yeah, because we were trying to tell you this time was coming. And the crazy thing about it is a lot of you could still see it, because they're talking about giving your jobs over to AI. So your revenue, your ability to be able to sustain yourself, not to mention the revenue is going to change over into digital, right? Which they're talking about the digital ID first and foremost. But eventually, it's going to be to where they're going to put it within you. You're going to need to carry your phone anymore. It's going to be within you, and that's where we're trying to give you the understanding of these things, right? So you're going to end up being ashamed of your revenue, because your revenue, might end up having to be the micro C hip, because you didn't put forth the spiritual exercise, should I say? You haven't put forth the effort to understand what the aim and the goal is of the elite, of your enemy, and what you need to be doing, right? Because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. Yeah, because really all this is because Yahweh. That's really Yahweh's micro C hip. This is really Yahweh's famine, Yahweh's pestilence. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is coming to bring this pestilence because he's tired of this thing, right? He's tired of this place. It's time to give things over to one that is profitable, which is his son, right? Which is Yahweh Shai. See, but Yahweh Shai said, think not that I come to bring peace, but a sword. But what's a sword going to do? A sword is to destroy. So if you die of hunger, if you die of famine, it's bringing forth what? Death. But this showing you also, the Lord is showing you a retrospect of who's the devil and who's the righteous. See, the righteous man is poor, but the righteous man, the poor, what it says about the poor man, his words are overlooked, and that's what you do. You overlook what the true men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is saying, and thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all my evil neighbors, right? Which that's a lot of you jakes, but even these elites, we're all living in the earth, right? So these people are technically, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates of hell. They're our neighbors, but they're evil. They're willing to buy out all the land and then go, hey, you can eat that synthetic meat. You could do this, you could do that. Oh, we're gonna bring in AI. You know what? We're gonna make you lose your jobs. We're gonna do this and that. Blah blah blah. We'll just put you on this universal basic income. We'll put you down to the 15-minute cities. These are the things that's coming. We're telling you the truth. But okay, just ignore it. Ignore it, because you got a bunch of evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. Right, because this land, especially when you deal with the land of Israel in itself, were they're over there G-side in Gaza. But guess what? Even America is an inheritance that the Lord gave to the Israelites, right? Gave to the northern kingdom. They came and took it. But really, if you want to think about it, the whole world belongs to the nation of Israel. But the Lord said that he was going to allow Esau, which Esau is Edom, after he eaten the red porridge. So his descendants are the Edomites, and they've taken over the world by the sword. But the Lord is coming back for that world, right? And I will pluck them out of their land. See, in that land is the world, technically. The entire world belongs to the Israelites, starting with Yahweh Shai. And pluck them out of the house of Judah, right? They're over there in the land calling themselves Jewish. But the Lord is going to pluck them out of the land of Judah from among them, right? They're going to bring down all these powers, man, all these elites, these talking heads, all the way to the international bankers, man. The Lord's going to pluck them up out of this place, man, right? And it shall come to pass after that I have plucked them out, I will return and have compassion on them. Who? What? The so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, true Israelites. The Lord's going to have compassion on the true Israelites, man. And will bring them again, every man to his heritage, and every man to his land, right? So that's ultimately what the Lord is about to do. And what man is that? The Son of Man, which is Yahweh Shai. The whole world belongs to him. The Lord's going to bring it back to him. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. It says, and when he had opened the third seal, which is the angel, so this is really all the plans of the Most High, right? See, the elite think it's their plan, but it's really the plan of the Most High to bring all these things to a head, so to speak, right? You know, because things is going to get drastic, right? Because even they're not going to be able to control. They're just going to have to run to their bunkers, and that's it. That's the only thing they're going to be able to do, which is really they're imprisoning themselves, right? To be put in chains. At the end of all that, they're gonna get slapped in chains and put into hardcore slavery, right? Right, chattel slavery, right? Yeah, we like, hey, and it says, and I heard the third beast say, "Come and see," and I beheld, which means to see, to look, yeah, and lo, which means to look, a black horse, and he that sat upon it, and he had a pair, so like and I saw, lo, a black horse, and he that sat on it, sat on him, had a pair of balances in his hand, right? So what horse represents power. You know, a black represents what? Death, right? Darkness, death, balance. A pair of balance is what is a measurement, right? And it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the fourth beast saying, a measure, right? See, and that's what a balance is for. Balance is to balance it out, you know, to weigh things out, right? So you're gonna balance it, weigh it all out, and what to measure a measure of wheat for a penny. See, right? And a penny is what a denarius, which is a day's wage, right? So you have a day's wage to be able to eat, right? And the third measures and three measures of barley, Salakia, for a penny, right? Which goes back into barley is for your bread, right? Barley is grown in the field. Your pharaohs, which they're talking about charging you more for water, for your air. They want to charge you to breathe, bro. Your revenue ain't good enough. Your lifestyle is not good enough to be able to pay for air, water, everything. You can see that's where it's going now. You used to have, you had to pay for every little app. You got to pay for everything. You see what they're doing. You had to pay to watch the NBA game. If you don't have one of those apps, or if you don't have a some type of cable thing where you're paying to see the game, you can't see games that you used to be able to just put on the TV, put on your little, what was it called, the bunny rabbit ears, and you watch the game. You know, everything is, they want you to pay for everything. And the three measures of barley for a penny, right? A day's wage. And thou see that thou hurt not the oil or the wine, right? Which meaning the truth. The truth is still here. But guess what? It's about to be the time of the famine of the word. Yeah, the famine of bread is actually creeping in, but the famine of the word is going to be right along with it, right? See, but the truth is here right now. Why it is, you should get it. Yeah, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, right? Which being what? AI. AI is what, well, to tell you that the law, this is their strength, the law may be their strength, and they're putting AI to be the law and the strength, and they're able to make it speak, because AI is basically the micro chip is an idol, but they want to connect your idol to something onto their grid, right? This law and this idol is going to be able to speak because of AI, right? Because if you go through times past, an idol couldn't speak. Idol, because the Lord always mocks the idols, how they can't drink and they can't talk, they can't walk, they can't think, they can't defend themselves. See, but this time they're gonna have this thing where it can do all those things, because it's gonna be attached to the robots, the robots that can do kung fu and stuff, right? You got these robots that can shoot, military robots, right? So it'll be able to protect itself. Then you got uh the ability to tell people when they're going off, right? Because a God could tell you, oh, you're sinning, you're this, you're that, you're not. Now this thing could tell you, hey, you've eaten too much of this food, and you can't have this, and you can't go here, and you can't do that, you can't go out of your 15-minute city, right? Kind of like the Hunger Games, where they had these districts or whatever, right? The movie, was it in time, whatever, with Justin Timberlake, right? They had different places, different thing where the rich or the other people, they live a different, and you can't get to that other side unless you had this type of money. But then they've already basically wiped out the middle class, right? A transfer of wealth, and you will never be able to get to that. Now they're just making a complete gulf between you and the rich, right? So you just good for you to go somewhere, right? You can't take a flight. You're gonna have to wear some type of ocular binoculars, and you could take a flight and a trip through a virtual, not reality, right? But that's the thing that they're talking about doing. What? And causing that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Because see, people ain't gonna be, hey man, it's not even reality, bro. It's not reality that I have to eat some meat that doesn't really exist. I have to take trips that don't exist. So I went from living a miserable real life where I had to work hard, do this, do all these different things, to you making my life miserable, but then I can't do real life things. That is crazy. And everything's gonna be monitored, right? Your every move is gonna be monitored and calculated through Palantir, right? Right? Constant surveillance, ultimate full control, right? Right? And it says, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, right? Karagma, Karax, Grapho, right? In their right hand or in their forehead, right? You have to go look those words up because we've done plenty of lessons on that. I'll just give you the thing because it gives you the understanding. If you look up charagma will go into, the, what do you call it? The root word will be charax, which is the delivery system. And then charagma, and then charax is delivery system, which is the root word to that, and then the root word to charax is graphel, which meaning a writing of records, right? Which now you have the data centers, right? Because those micro C hips only going to have so much what's it called, information on it, but once they swipe it and they hit it thing and it connects to the overall grid, right? Which would be these data centers. Now it's all starting to make sense with these data centers that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, the charagma, the crocs, the croc graphel, or the number of the beast, or the number of his name, which basically is pretty much the same thing, right? It's the whatever number thing they delegate thing to you, because that's how Esau does. You're always a number, whether like when it's your social security number, you're just a number technically. Do your social security number, you go to prison or whatever, you're just a number. And this is ultimately about to be a digital prison, so you're ultimately just a number, right? So that number, of course, have been incorporated with their number, because it's the number of who they are, and then they'll add more numbers to it. So it's what do you call it? It's unique to you, because that's why they're showing that they want also to be your fingerprint, your iris, your eye scan. So it's all unique to you, then, and so that thing is going to be what? And here is wisdom. Let him that understand have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 666. So that thing it'll be 666, whatever numeric number, whatever they give you, that's attached to your fingerprint, your iris. So it's all unique to you as a citizen of a universal citizenship under the Novus Ordo Seclorum, right? So So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, your chwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and a Bible ball, Kwam Yasharallah.